Go for
This
it.
meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so I just want to welcome Augusta Amadio, and we're going to have a chat today. Augusta is the co-owner of Custodi military-grade Faraday bags and other protective gear, which assists in our technology and the reach of electromagnetic frequencies and other things within the technology that we just have everywhere in our homes. So welcome, Augusta. Thank you.
Hi, Mel. Thanks for inviting me.
So good to have you here. And I know we've been trying lots of different ways to get this meeting going. And so we finally decided to do this Zoom rather than a live because, just look at us, technophobes. And it's just not working out. So this is going to work out. Look, I wanted to talk, first of all, just a lot of people don't know what a Faraday bag is. A lot of people don't know what's going on with technology. A lot of people don't understand how anything in their home could really be affecting them. And I know when 5G towers went up, there was lots of quite derogatory posts from people going, oh, look, I'm not dead from a 5G tower. And, there was all this sort of thing going on. And it amazes me because the simplest piece of science is that we are electromagnetic beings and that we are constantly, we're water, carbon, silica, we're magnetic, and everything is, just literally quantum particles moving around with a lot of space, basically. And so it constantly amazes me that people think that we cannot be affected by EMFs or radio waves or, microwaves, all this sort of thing. It really amazes me. Why don't you tell us what your company does and what you know about this kind of technology?
Okay, so firstly, the World Health Organization actually confirms that electromagnetic frequencies in certain ranges are actually harmful for people.
Right.
It's been well known and documented for years, certainly since the cell phone was invented. So I started.
People realize how far back that goes. Sorry,
a long time. Yeah. So I started on this journey when my mum Andrew and I wanted to buy some Faraday bags for our phones, right? Because a friend of ours said, look, if you want to start protecting yourself, your privacy, you need to get a Faraday bag. And he told us that if you're going to go down that path, you need to buy the best, right? Don't just buy the cheap stuff from China. So we bought a couple of Mission Darkness bags, and then other friends of friends wanted the same product. So we thought, we'll look into this, and we ended up getting the distribution for a couple of military grade brands. And then from there, we both started to delve deeper into what's happening with EMFs, what's happening with these 5G towers, because everyone will have noticed that we're all in lockdown because of this deadly virus. And they were busy at the point of lockdown installing 5G towers all around Auckland and other public cities.
But I think it started mostly,
and I saw that happening, and it started particularly in Auckland. So you're thinking, well, why would they do that? What's so important about 5G towers that you would want your people out there in the middle of a pandemic when everyone else is locked down and can't even go for a walk?
Right.
And so we investigated more, and as we started to sell more products, we were getting feedback from customers, and I'm getting a lot more feedback now that people are starting to feel ill, and the effects that they're getting sound a lot like radiation, varying degrees of radiation poisoning or radiation sickness, which would be headaches, tiredness, fuzzy brain. But what I was also hearing, and I'm still hearing from customers, is they're saying that the same phone that they've been using for maybe 2 or 3 years is starting to hurt them now when they use it. So they're getting pain in the hands, pain along the arms, more pain around the head, especially around the ear. And I even had one friend who attended the Wellington protest. And she says she took a phone call while she was at the protest, and something happened. She got this blast from her phone, and she threw her phone away, and it took her months to recover. So what I started to investigate is what's going on with the phones, what's going on with the frequencies in the phones that's changed of recent times, which wasn't happening so much before. And that takes us down a whole deep rabbit hole. What I do know, right, is that 5G, the frequency that's emitted by 5G towers, according to, all you have to do is go on the internet and do a search, it's in that low millimeter wave range. So we're talking from sub 6 gigahertz up to about 60. Now, 60 gigahertz, at 60, the oxygen molecule in our body starts to absorb more electromagnetic energy, right? So it's interesting that at that frequency, it really affects the water in our body. And
Wow.
Dr. Zach Bush, so I don't know if people know Dr. Zach Bush, but he's very well known. And he actually says that he believes that 3G, 4G, and 5G, they all operate within the biological vibrational frequency of the water in the cells in our body.
Well, if you think
So
about
in other words,
a microwave, for example, a microwave operates on the water molecules as well. So if you put something in the microwave that has no water molecules, nothing happens. It doesn't heat up, like oil, for example.
well, if you put food in your microwave, it just blasts the food. It just destroys. The way it heats the food is by destroying, basically superheating the water in food. So that takes us down this. Actually, what I wanted to do, remember, I was going to read something, a summary of an interview that I had with a customer of ours, right? So he bought this is into 2023. So the guy was very secretive about exactly what he does, but he did say he was in surveillance, right? So he was protecting certain people in New Zealand from being surveilled, as in eavesdropping and being tracked. So he bought a lot of Mission Darkness products. And I want to, if I may, briefly read the most important stuff that he told me. So I showed him, so we sell Mission Darkness and Off-Grid, and I showed him both bags, and he said he wasn't interested in Off-Grid, even though it's a good brand, but he said Mission Darkness is the only brand available to people that completely blocks all forms of surveillance and penetration. So what people need to understand is that your devices are tracked and listened to. They're used to track you and listen to you. So most people are familiar that when they're in a room and they're speaking about, I don't know, something, suddenly it'll pop up on their Facebook feed because the device is listening to you. So people don't register that. The devices, especially smart devices, are always listening to you. That's their intent. So, and he says, all other brands available in New Zealand are useless in that respect. So he's had the Mission Darkness bags tested in New Zealand, and it's the only bag that passes the essential criteria that he needed, which I'll explain later. So that's why Mission Darkness meets 2 certification standards, one of which is military. So it's the only brand that blocks non-linear junction detectors, which can collect data from all devices. So there are electronics containing semiconductor properties return a harmonic signature that non-linear junction detectors can detect when radiated with RF energy. So these detectors are in the walls at airports. So what he said was that when you pass through certain parts of the airport, all your devices are scanned and downloaded. The information is downloaded.
Wow. That's pretty explosive. That's crazy.
So all electronics in our home.
Anything at this point.
Well, okay. All electronics in our homes, smart meters, Wi-Fi routers, phones, computers, smart TVs, smart appliances, basically anything with a smart, LED lights as well. They detect electromagnetic signals from each other, between each other, and they triangulate within the house. And so they know who's in the house and what device is in the house at any given point in time. So basically, we're dealing with technologies. Even your appliances, your smart TV is able to detect other technologies within the house, and it all reports back through your Wi-Fi router, your smart meter, to the LED street lights. So everyone will have noticed. If you haven't noticed, every light in New Zealand, every street light has been replaced with one with a bulb.
Yeah.
Well, that's part, because 5G towers, the frequency that's required to do their Internet of Things, in other words, all the data they collect from inside your home has to be transported to the 5G tower. But the 5G towers only have a short range. So you'll notice, especially in Auckland, that there's now 5G towers every 300-400 meters. But they still need the street lights to be the relays. Okay. So in other words, he said, in your home, you're living in a soup of EMF. And these devices and technology allows them to listen to every conversation and to pinpoint where someone is in the house. There are technologies that can find any electrical device, whether it's your phone or laptop, even if they are switched off or the batteries are dead or have been removed. They can still be tracked, eavesdropped, and the information inside swiped. You can't hide anything unless it's in a certified military Faraday bag. Of course, like he's my customer, that's why we're talking about Faraday bags, or similar highly certified bag. Do not buy any Chinese Faraday bags or fabric, even if they say they meet a specific standard, because they don't, and you'll never know because you won't have the technology to test the bags, right?
Wow.
Okay. There is a technology that can detect what device or person was in a room or in a space long after that device was removed or the person is gone. It detects the signature of the device that was there, a bit like how clairvoyance can, like I've got friends who've gone to Europe and been in an ancient place where there's been a war, and she's actually walked into the war, right? She's seen it all.
Yeah.
Right? So the signature of what's happened is still present.
That's right.
So
Wow.
our DNA holds an energy signature that remains in a location from 30 days up to a year. So that's really interesting, because a few years ago, I watched a video from, I don't know if people know Emery Smith. You heard of Emery Smith?
I haven't, no.
He's all into ET stuff. He's been heavily involved with ET stuff. So he actually explained how they've shown how you walk into a room, your DNA has an energetic, a light signature, and it's specific to you. When you walk out of that room, the room still holds the signature of your DNA.
Well,
So this is,
yeah, I mean, also, like, I know that's true because I have seen energy footprints of people, energy blueprints, and I have had people come to me and they are kind of a swirling ball of, like at 3 a.m, a swirling ball of colors and lights. And I know instantly who it is. I don't know how I know, but I know who it is because I immediately recognize the blueprint of that person and the frequency that they hold, and it cannot be mistaken. Every single soul holds a different blueprint. And the other thing is, you know, time, although we have linear time here on Earth, time does not actually work like this. Time is very much a concentric circle of swirling sorts of energies that are going on all the time, which is why remote viewers can go forward and backward in time. And it's why when I went round, I can't remember the name of it, on Santorini Island, anyway, it's the ruins that they think might be Atlantis, but all the way around I was having massive, I could hear, you know, arguments and wars and this and that all the way around. And then at one point I got to a super peaceful part, which felt completely different from all the other parts. So, you know, I know that this is possible just from my own experience, but it's very hard for people to comprehend the level of technology and surveillance that is going on currently. And it's even harder for them to visualize what is coming, because what is coming is it's going to blow their freaking minds, and it's already here. They're just trying to work out how to introduce it to us at a conscious level. They show us through movies, they show us through different, mediums and platforms what is already here, but people, it's how you introduce this technology without people freaking out. And we've got a new VR headset because my husband loves all that sort of stuff, and it's so crazy. I mean, I can see exactly how easy it's going to be to put the next generation straight into the use, because I put it on and I am inside the most unbelievable. This is like next level. I've never been into this before, but all of a sudden, I am literally right in the middle of, a gorgeous tropical island. I'm walking through a market in Prague. I'm, doing all of this stuff, and I can't believe that I'm not actually touching these people. It's insane. And that is literally, still very early days of what they really have available that they are wanting to bring through, but they're just testing the waters to see how well we receive this. But the next generation, they're like locked in.
Yeah. So that brings me to what he said next. The technology that we think we know about, they are 50 years ahead and significantly more advanced. So we actually have no we can't conceive of the tech. They have surveillance.
Yeah.
So 5G towers are only part of the problem. Satellites and other tech in the skies play a major role as well. I asked, is there any point then wearing Faraday hats, because we saw hats and beanies and stuff like that, and he said he was adamant that we should use them, right? Because he says 5G towers are constantly attacking our brains. People are being specifically targeted, and he was just talking about Faraday beanies and hats are important to protect the brain. But
so do you sell Faraday beanies and hats?
Yeah, Mission Darkness. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to look at that, because it's also the crown chakra, third eye, pineal gland.
Well, our brains are being targeted. When you look at
absolutely.
Oh, we got disconnected.
You're back.
I just recently did some investigation, wrote an article, or Andrew and I, for our website. So if people want to go to the website and have a read about Bluetooth earphones and smartwatches, right? So the earphone, anything Bluetooth, you'd be crazy to wear Bluetooth earphones, because Bluetooth has it's on a similar band as Wi-Fi. So are you prepared to stick a Wi-Fi router at your ears? So they say that it's only a small amount, but when someone is wearing their earphones, their Bluetooth earphones a lot, because people tend to listen to music and be walking around listening to the phones a lot, then it's about the time of exposure, not necessarily the frequency of exposure. And I did some research about smartwatches. I actually tested a smartwatch for a friend with a trifold meter, and it was off the chart. It was like having a phone on your wrist. Now, we've got important meridians that go through the wrist, which is the heart, the lung, intestines. So if you've got a smartwatch, you are literally, people have reported burns on their wrist from smartwatches. You are literally frying your wrist at a point where there's some significant meridians. In Chinese acupuncture talks about meridians.
Well, also even just the explosive growth in brain tumors. And, I lost a friend at age 43, and the doctors were very open and said that it was from his cell phone, and, glioblastoma. These sorts of things are massively on the increase. But this is so interesting for me, Augusta, because I see this stuff like in my meditations and things. I see, and when I channel and stuff, I see stuff. But to hear you actually bringing through this information from the more physical plane and in this very practical way is so interesting. And I'm gonna put your company underneath, and I definitely want to get some things from you. But if we were to talk about other ways, like how else can we protect ourselves from what is going on?
Okay, so from the day-to-day level, you have to reduce your exposure to you have to physically try and reduce your exposure, at least in the stuff that's in your home, right? So turn off your Wi-Fi router, walk barefoot. So grounding is really essential. So Dr. Bush actually says that you can release a lot of EMF that you've absorbed in the body by just walking on grass, walking in the dirt, walking barefoot. There's some other things I want to warn people about. Baby monitors. Children are way more susceptible to EMF damage than adults because their brains are developing, right? And I feel really sad when I see children glued to gadgets and with Bluetooth earpieces in their heads. So it's just be aware, right? I'm asking people not to be frantic and crazy and scared, but minimize your exposure with some practical stuff. Forget the smart appliances. They're not very smart. They're designed, I call smart appliances for stupid people because they are monitoring and tracking and listening at you. So why would you want that stuff surrounded, in your home? But on a higher level, our bodies are predominantly made of water. So if people are aware that, and that's how damage can occur. So EMFs obviously can affect us through the water molecules in the cells of our body. But there's been a number of people over the years that have shown, like Dr. Masaru Emoto, who showed how you can actually pray to water and change the crystalline structure. You can swear or think negative thoughts at a glass of water and you can destroy the crystals in that water. And there was an experiment where they went to a lake that was highly polluted, I think it was in Japan, and a group of people encircled the lake and they prayed and they changed the crystalline structure in the water. And so
Wow.
we're predominantly made of water. It's not water as such, not like stuff in the tap. It's a different form. I think they call it the fourth phase of water. It's a different form of water, but we are essentially made of water. And Veda Austin, so I don't know if you know Veda Austin. She's a Kiwi woman.
Veda Austin.
She has done some stunning work. So she calls it crystallography, where she gets a dish, a petri dish of water, and then she will either talk to it, ask it questions, place it on an image, and it will respond. It's amazing. It's actually unbelievable.
Have you done it? Like I did it with my kids and we projected a flower with love. And when it came out, there was this perfect flower. It was absolutely incredible.
Anyone can do it. It's actually reasonably easy to do. You semi-freeze the water, right? You have to get it out at a certain point, and that's when it shows. It gives you a response. So what it showed is that water is intelligent. That's why homeopathics work, right? So a homeopathic, I've been using them for years, really successfully. I don't use any allopathic medicine, only homeopathics and natural medicine. And so they take the original substance and they, shake it and put it in and then dilute it, take one small amount out of that, put it in the next with water and then shake it and then take, until in the final product, there's nothing left of the original substance. But the water retains the memory and the information of that substance. And for some reason, when you introduce it into your body responds to it. That's why they work. So water is super intelligent. And Veda did a recent interview with Pam Gregory, the astrologer, where they talked about how 3 years ago, or a number of, I can't remember exactly when, but anyway, so what Veda did was she took spring water from a New Zealand spring and took a crystallography image and it was beautiful. It shows apparently a hexagonal kind of star. It looks like a leaf, or a star, right? It's beautiful. And then it shows leaves and whatever. She placed that dish of water for 15 minutes next to a 5G tower in Auckland, and then semi-freezed it and took photos of it, and it was destroyed. So the structures in the water, the crystals were just completely, it was just a mess. It was yuck. And she did that multiple times. I think she said 6, 7 times, and it just kept doing the same thing. Every time she defrosted that water and refroze it, it kept showing that there was no structure left in the water. 3 years later, she decided to do this test again. So it wasn't the same vial of water, but she took another sample of water from the same stream. She used the same process, the same freezer, and she took an image before putting it underneath the 5G tower, the same tower, and it showed the beautiful hexagonal structure, and then placed it under the 5G tower, left it for the same amount of time, refroze it, photographed it, and this time, she said, it was partially destroyed, not fully, the structure in the water.
Isn't
And
that
it was
incredible?
And then she defrosted the same sample, refroze it, and it kept getting better and better. And she was surprised. So she did that, I think she said 6 or 7 times until there was no water left. And she was surprised. And what I conclude, is that 3 years later, while we've had these 5G towers, the water has had some sort of intelligent response where it's not allowed itself to be destroyed by the frequency of the tower. I mean, I don't know. There could be other variables. The tower frequency might have been different. I don't know. But intuitively, my mind says to me that our bodies have such an extremely powerful level of intelligence that over time we could be exposed to all these damaging frequencies, but over time, if they're not too suddenly destructive to us, and if we're reasonably healthy, I think over time our bodies will just overcome. So I want a quote that Dr. Zach Bush said. He said that memories are stored in the water of our bodies, right? And he said, water remembers its original blueprint of a healthy body. So in other words, water will always remember what our healthy blueprint is. So no matter what we do to our bodies, that blueprint is in the memory of water, because water has memory. We know that. That's why they've never shown where memory resides in the body.
That is absolutely mind-blowing. And I think that this is nature full stop, isn't it? Like all of nature mutates and regenerates and regrows. And so whatever, poison we're trying to put into our body, whether it's, alcohol or a vaccine that might make us ill, or a virus, or whatever it is that we're putting into our body, nature will always find a way around it, right? And that's the thing with synthetic stuff, is that, like pharmaceuticals and things, is that they are kind of a rigid chemical structure, whereas nature is ever mutating, ever in flow. And so, nature will always overcome. But we won't necessarily, unless we start harmonizing with nature in a better way. And as we meditate, as we have pure intentions, as we heal ourselves from trauma, we become more in harmony with nature, more in harmony with the water structure and water consciousness, and we're actually able to elevate our own crystalline structure and our own electromagnetic field. This is just what I saw recently, is that we can actually, through these various practices, and especially with the photonic light coming in at the moment to the planet, we can actually elevate our electromagnetic frequency so that it sits above the ones being projected into us. And that was pretty mind-blowing. Like when I saw that, I was just like, "Whoa." So when we are doing this work, just like with the water, with Emoto, the intentional projections into water, we can actually intentionally project ourselves higher. And this is why we're always saying, as healers, as mediums, as whatever, we're always saying, elevate yourself, rise up, heal, do the work, and then bring yourself up. Because when you're up here, these frequencies can only come in at this level. And if you're sitting up here, you've got access to so much photonic light, so much healing power, that these ones are going to have a real hard time jigging with your system.
I agree. And the body, like the rest of planet Earth and everything that's on this planet that seeks to survive, our bodies will always strive for healing and survival, right? Because it's the vessel for our spirit. So we need it. It naturally, by nature, wants to survive. And if we understand that we have this blueprint of health within us, within the water, within the cells of our body, they know what to do. We need to realize, remember, really take on board that this is natural within us, and it doesn't matter what comes at us. I mean, obviously you have, I agree, I've watched quite a few of your lives, Mel, and you keep reaffirming we need to look after ourselves on a practical level. You need to eat well, eat organic if you can, because they're poisoning our food. There's no question. They're poisoning our water. So distill your water. Make sure you drink good water. Take care of yourself. Exercise your mind. Take care of your mind. So we have to do the practical things. Protect yourself from EMFs. Do the right thing. But remember that probably the most powerful thing we can do over and above all that is use the intelligence within and meditate to that light within us, that spirit within us. How many times everyone knows and hears of stories where someone is told they're going to die of cancer within 3 months and they heal themselves? Well, how do they do that? Sure, they probably take physical measures, like they start juicing or get off, start eating organic and do the physical things.
Right.
But there's also, because a lot of people do that as well, but it still doesn't work. There still is something else that's at work here that is beyond the physical. Right? And that's what we need to tap into, is what is beyond the physical, that is so much more powerful, that completely overrides what's happening in the physical, and the blueprint of health just sets in.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. And that's probably a good note to finish on before you disappear and into the dark. We've had so many problems with lights.
Yeah, can you see me? I'm trying to put the light on me.
Yeah, but it's just been so amazing to hear you bring some of this information through, Augusta. I just love chatting with you, and I definitely want to do that again. And thank you so much for all your wisdom and just everything that you bring, which is a lot. And yeah, I really look forward to chatting again soon.
Great talking.
Cool. And I'll put details for your for Custodi, your company. So we'll put those through for anyone that's interested, and I'll also put contact details for you if anyone has any questions. Is that okay?
That's great. Yeah. So it's sales@custodi.co.nz.
And that's CUSTODI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Thanks so much, Augusta. Thanks, everyone. See ya.
Bye.